Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Explode Your Expert Biz show. I'm here today with the one and only Fiona Wright. How you doing, Fiona?
I'm doing good. Good to be here, Simone.
Fantastic. Now, today is going to be, we're going to talk about thoughts that you have. We're going to talk about um, patterns that we can find in our lives. We are going to talk about how you are growing your business. But before we go into that, Fiona, can you just give a brief introduction about yourself and how did you end up doing what you do right now?
Oh, well, yeah, I kind of always knew I wanted to run my own business, but I was very kind of stuck for many years about what that would be and experimented with a number of different things with a number of different interests, but never quite got them off the ground. And it wasn't really until 4 years ago I started doing something completely by chance for me personally. Um, because I've had cancer twice, and I recognized, even though I'd done all the bit, the healthy eating, the green juicing, which I was thinking also of doing as a business. I kind of realized in that moment that what happened to me, the thing that I hadn't sorted out in my life was kind of my stress at work. So
Right.
I'd been I realized I needed to do something about that. And I just happened across something which has absolutely changed my life forever. And it's just been amazing because now I'm like 100% clear exactly what I want to do, because this understanding is so powerful and gives you an opportunity to live a much more peaceful life with a lot more clarity of mind. And then it's easy to make the right decisions about which business, where I go, who I work with.
Now, you said that you had cancer twice.
Yeah.
This is not definitely something easy to overcome. So, what were your thoughts when you had to go through this journey for yourself?
Well, it's interesting, because at the time you kind of have this coping mechanism, this coping ability, because you just have to get on with it.
Hmm.
And, it's not easy. I can't pretend that my anxiety levels weren't on the roof, because they were at times. But it's amazing how, actually looking back, I would say the most difficult parts of my life were going through depression, not actually dealing with cancer. It's very intense at the time, but the for me anyway, I just had this kind of, right, I just need to get through this, and it's just like the next hospital appointment, the next treatment, the next step. And kind of when you get to the end and it's you finished all the kind of medical side of it, you kind of, that's the point at which you stop and think, oh, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
But actually that's really, really an important note, is that we all actually have that resilience within us, which is what I teach people. And it's that resilience that kind of gets you through the whole experience.
So let's talk about resilience. I still want to be focused on you for a couple more minutes. Um, were there moments where you couldn't find that resilience? And yeah, okay, let's start from there. What are moments where you
Absolutely.
couldn't
I mean,
find it?
in life in general, there's always moments where we struggle to see that resilience, and and that's because we're human beings, and we go in and out of an understanding that most of us don't even know is there, but is there for all of us, and and when we don't see it clearly, we're lost in our thoughts in the moment, and basically that's when we're struggling. That's
Hmm.
when our mind is busy. Um, but actually, when we can realize that that's just what's going on, we don't have to make it go away. We can just leave it alone. And leaving it alone is like water's natural state is to be clear. But if you're stirring it up with a stick, you're stirring a muddy pool up with a stick, and you keep stirring and you keep stirring, you keep trying to fix it, and you keep trying to do something about it, you keep trying to control it, it just gets muddier and muddier and muddier. But if
Hmm.
you can learn to just leave it alone, it will clear, because that's its natural state. And that's exactly the same for us too. And that's where when the water's clear, we can draw on our resilience, because our resilience is always there, just like the sun's always behind the clouds. Resilience is always there. It's just that we don't see how to draw on it in the moment, because we've got our head full of cluttered thoughts, unhelpful thoughts, panic, anxiety, you name it.
So you mentioned that you came across some very powerful teachings that made a difference in your life.
Yeah.
Then you said, "Oh my God, this is what I need to teach other people." What made you have that light bulb moment? What is different from this concept that you came across recently to the one that maybe you were thinking about before in your journey of personal development and so on?
Oh, well, the difference is this one works.
Okay, that's a good
It
starting
works.
point. That's a very good starting point.
It's 100% effective. And, I literally, I'm not lying when I say it's changed my life forever. Because it's an understanding. It's more than a set of tools and techniques. My God, I spent a fortune on personal development with a huge tool bag of tools and different things of various techniques and exercises and things to do, which were all really overwhelming. And frankly, I was overwhelmed enough, so I didn't need to be adding any more of those in. What I needed was to get that peace and calm, which is what I have now. So getting an understanding is something, it's a bit like, when you're a child and you're learning to ride a bike. Once you've learnt to ride the bike, you never really forget it. Yeah, you might wobble a bit, and that's just like our wobbly days, but you can always get back on a bike and carry on because you've got the understanding of how that works. And that's because you have an understanding of gravity. I need to keep in momentum, otherwise I'm going to fall over. And that's a basic understanding. Little children don't understand what gravity is. They just accept it and they experiment with it. They stand up, they take a few steps, they fall down, they get up. They take the next few steps, they fall down, they get back up because they haven't learnt yet what gravity does and how it holds us standing on the earth. But once we do understand that, if you imagine, and I know you play basketball, so when you imagine that, somebody like a tightrope walker has a much better understanding of gravity than you or I.
Yeah.
Because he really understands exactly where he needs to put his foot, how he needs to keep his abs tight, and how he needs to keep his balance so that he doesn't fall off the tightrope. And like you know exactly when you're jumping to put that ball in the hoop, there's a way that you can jump that will get you the results, and there's a way that you can jump that is not going to get you the results.
Absolutely.
And that's because your understanding of gravity in those circumstances is better than mine.
So how can we get that deep level of understanding that you're talking about?
It's really about understanding, spend some time getting the understanding of where your experience is coming from. Because very often, and this shows up a lot in business, very often we get carried away with feelings that we believe are telling us something that they're not. So, for example, if you're about to get on a stage and you have all this like anxiety going on in your stomach, butterflies in your stomach, sweaty palms, all of that, they're all feelings. And it looks to us in those moments that they're coming from the fact that we're about to walk on a stage, we're going to speak to 30 people, 100 people, 5,000 people, or that we're going to have lights in our face, or that what happens if the clicker doesn't work and my slides don't appear. That's where it looks like it's coming from. But actually, feelings are just a signal to tell us that we've got some nervous thinking going on. So literally, feelings are a warning sign that does this. It's just saying, hey, watch out what's going on in your thinking right now. When you can learn to feel those anyway, feel the feelings and just leave them alone, you can take a deep breath, walk out on the stage, deliver your piece, not forget your words, and literally perform in the best space. This is about being able to perform really well when you've got a clear, calm mind. Because if you ask a good public speaker and you know this from when you're doing your MC, when you get on a stage with a big audience, there's nothing going through your mind apart from being in the space, being in the now, in that moment, on the stage, introducing who you need to introduce and delivering value for the audience. And that's all you need to worry about in that moment. If you're worrying about, does my hair look great? Are my trousers about to fall down? If you're worrying about any of that, you're not present in the moment, and the audience sees that.
So
And it's just the same.
yeah,
Sorry.
we are talking about this level of presence, and some people might be saying, well, that's easier said than done. I mean, I had these moments where I had these strong feelings, and maybe I wanted to go on a stage, I didn't go, or I wanted to create my event and I didn't go for it, or I wanted to create my webinar, I didn't go for it. How can we then become so good at it that actually it doesn't become just theory, but we can reach the level that you were able to reach?
Well, it's about understanding that you can carry on no matter what the feelings you think the feelings are telling you.
Right.
Because really, procrastination is just listening to a bunch of feelings and following what you think the feelings are telling you. Like, oh, I need something to eat. Oh, I need to make a cup of tea. You know, for not actually picking up the phone, making your sales calls. It's like suddenly there looks like there's something more important to do.
Yep.
And when you start to listen to that, and that's just the little voice in your head saying, oh, you forgot to do this, go and do this now. Whereas actually, if you can recognize those feelings for, oh, maybe this is just the little voice in my head telling me to do something else, and carry on regardless, because as you well know, and I know to my cost from having procrastinated for years and years and years, that you can't achieve anything without some action. So just taking the first small step of action starts us in motion. Then we stop listening to the little voice, and the little voice goes away, and we carry on and we get things done.
Yes.
But when we're listening to that little voice that says, oh, just check Facebook, or, oh, so-and-so emailed you earlier, or I just called my mum, or, let's go and get a cup of tea. Every time we listen to that, let's go and get a cup of tea, we're losing yet another 5 minutes when we could have written the email, we could have picked up the phone and called the client or the potential client and made the call.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I have a question which is more a curiosity, which I never asked you, which was you mentioned the fact that you had this bag full of tools. And there are people that say tools work. You have hypnosis, you have NLP, you have EFT, you have tapping, you have everything there. Are you saying that these tools don't work, or are you saying that there is a place for them? I would love to know where are you standing? Where is your opinion on there?
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying they don't work, but I guess what I am saying is that they work some of the time. And they may work lots of the time for you. Lots of people find a tool that they find really, really helpful. But I bet you anything, if they're really honest with themselves, they can also give you a time where they used the tool and it didn't work.
Yep.
Because it's not guaranteed in every moment. And the reason behind that is because a thought is different, and they come in milliseconds. And you can never guarantee what the next thought's going to be. Yeah. And actually, you have no control over it. They take form from the universal energy kind of through us, because we had the power to generate thought and the power to label things as any one thing or another. And in that moment, it doesn't, can you imagine having to get on a stage and do all this sort of like twitching and firing off resource anchors and, oh my God, I didn't put my bunny's rabbit foot in my pocket. And, if you forgot one of those things, does that mean you're going to do a bad presentation? No, not necessarily. There'll be days when you forget to do that. You can get on stage and do a good presentation. And there'll be days when you have done all of that and you still don't do a very good presentation. And the difference is that if you've got a busy mind and you're worrying about the fact that your rabbit's foot's not in it, it's terribly non-vegan. Sorry about this.
That's okay.
But if you haven't got your rabbit's foot or your whatever lucky, I don't know, lucky what do you keep in your pocket that's lucky?
The lucky stone. The lucky stone. If you haven't
got your lucky stone in your pocket, then you won't if you're not worrying about the
Yeah.
fact that your lucky stone's not in your pocket, then your mind is going to be present, just like that presence we were talking about being on stage. And it's the same with a sales call. You know, when you have a conversation with a client, if you're not in the right space and you suddenly rush it, you come across as yucky.
Yep. Absolutely.
And if you're not in the right space, you're also not able to be, you're worrying about, am I going to make money? Are they going to say yes? Will they tell me it's too expensive? Will they tell me I haven't got time? Or, but if you're actually 100% present with the person on the other end of the phone, you can hear the signals. You can develop a level of connection with them that gives you an idea about whether they're ready for the sale or not.
Yes.
And in that moment, your wisdom will show up and tell you, do I pitch them now or do I organize another call?
I completely agree with you.
It's really, really key, because when we're really present in that moment without any of the worrying about, oh, there's no money in my bank account, or I want 5 more people in this program, I really need to make this a sale. When we haven't got that worrying going on, and when we're acting in the best interests of the prospective client, of the person on the other end of the phone, it might not be the right time for them now. That might be why they're hesitating. And that's actually our serving them the best is to let them take the time out and not try to sell them something when they're not ready. And that's service.
Yeah.
We aren't going to see that if we're busy in our minds worrying about how much money is in our bank account.
I agree with you.
I'm far more interested, and I know GTeX are, I'm far more interested in service, serving people to make the most of their lives, live really happy, peaceful, joyful lives, and do what they really want to do in life, because it's so important, because I know what the consequences of not being in that space are.
I have a question for you now. I want to move for some advice that you can give to people that are growing their businesses right now, that they are starting out, or they might be in business for a while and now they are growing. Based on your personal experience about growing your expert business, what best advice can you give to them?
Really get clear. You don't have to decide 100% on your direction right now, but get clear on one thing, focus on one thing for the moment. And just like an airline pilot doesn't fly in a completely straight line between A and B, you can always readjust. It's a shifting as you go along. And if you decide it's not the right decision, you can always quit, give it up, and do the next one. But do one thing at a time, because if you spread yourself too thin, you can make life really difficult for yourself. That's the first one. The second one I would say is, look at people who've done something similar to what you want to do before and see what hurdles they've come across, what things have helped them, and take that into consideration, because just starting something without having done any research at all is always going to be far more difficult. And it'll be like paddling a boat upstream, whereas you could join a crowd and paddle downstream and learn from them, share your learnings with them as well. And, and that's the value of community, which is what I get from GTeX. You've got that community. And the other thing would be, I would say, especially right at the beginning, what's really helped me is to have a coach. You don't need a coach all the time, I don't think. But it really helps. For me personally, it's really helped get me out of the way. And that's what I do with my clients, is get them out of their own way, really. I help them get their busy thinking off their mind. And then they've got a clearer mind to be able to make the right decisions for them, to be able to take the decisions to do the right things at the right time. And sometimes that decision is to slow down, because you can't do everything overnight. And very often people are working, we all start out working in other jobs at the same time. It's not necessarily the right decision to jump from a job straight away to run your own business, because you're only going to put yourself under more pressure and risk more busy thinking about the fact there's no money in the bank. So, those would be my 3 really.
Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing. And what was, if you have to pinpoint one, what was your biggest challenge for you about growing your business?
Um, well, I mean, my business still is growing, and it always will be. I suppose my well, it's got to be me. You know, my biggest challenge was me. I was in my own way as to deciding. You know, I thought I didn't for many years. I thought I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know where I wanted to go, and I was in a hurry about it as well. And actually slowing down to just try one thing and then put it to one side when it didn't really feel right. Um, and yeah, so it was me that was in the way, and it's me that's been in the way. You know, it's me that's in the way about if I can't. I mean, I don't suffer from this thankfully nowadays, but you know, I love getting on a stage and speaking to people. But you know, it was me that was in my way. I mean, I can remember the day sat in a personal development event with and 1,000 other people in the audience looking at the guy on stage thinking, wow, I'd love to do that. And they played this game where you could win a prize, but to get your prize, you had to do a victory dance on stage. I can remember thinking that, oh my God, as much as I really, really want it, if I had to get up there and dance in front of all these people, I would die. I would die. If you asked me to do it now, I'd be on the stage in 2 seconds flat. Because and all that was in my way was my thinking. The only thing that was in my way was me because I thought I couldn't do it.
I think there are a lot of people right now that are saying, "Yeah, me." So
Yeah.
we can all be in our way. Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up, I would love to ask you, what did you enjoy the most about being part of the GTeX family and being part of being a lifetime member?
There are lots of things I enjoy about GTeX, and I think the trainings you get as a lifetime member are really good quality. They're really hands-on, and you actually get on and work on your business while you're there. It's not theoretical at all. You're really getting on and spending time working on your business so that you can see what even if you don't get it totally finished while you're there, you've made really good headway. And I think that's so important because for me, when I'm working full time, when I was working full time, to spend a whole weekend working on my business, on being on a course and not actually making any progress meant that I went back to work on Monday having made no progress. Whereas at GTeX, you show up for the weekend, you work on your business on Monday morning, you know that you've got your business further along the line, and I think that's really important. They're good, they're good quality trainings. You take your business forward and you're there sharing with other people, and there are people to ask what's the next step, and there are people to support you. There's a great community at GTeX, and that's brilliant in that you can post a message in a Facebook group and somebody will have an idea about where you can get royalty-free pictures, music, help with tech, anything. You can more or less ask for anything. And somebody's going to rock up with some kind of answer that's helpful.
Thank you for sharing. So if you're listening right now and you want to check out how to become a GTeX member, then you can check the link that is below here in the show notes. Now it's time to wrap up. Fiona, how can people get in touch with you? Someone says, wow, I actually really need to get out of my own way because I'm the person who is stopping me, and I've got this busy mind that is going, and I've tested all the tools and they are not working. How they can get in touch with you?
Well, probably the easiest way to get in touch with me is to friend me on Facebook, which I know you'll have the link for. And also you can email me as well. So it's fiona@fionajwright.com, and it's Wright with WRIGHT. That's
Fantastic.
the quickest way to do it.
And also you do consultations, so guys, make sure that if you are the kind of in that state where you know that you have a lot to give, but like Fiona was years ago, she was getting in her own way, and you are the same stage, but you still have this drive to get out there. Make sure that you get in touch with Fiona, because I've seen incredible results from the clients that she worked with. So get in touch with her. I highly recommend her. I highly endorse her. Make sure that you get in touch. Fiona, thank you very much for being on this interview. It was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, Simona. It's been really great, and I'd be really happy if you do get in touch with me. To if you mention this show, I'll happily give you a free consultation. So please do reach out. It's Fiona at fionajwright.com.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to another episode of Explode, your expert biz show. And now is time to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to our podcast or on our YouTube channel right now, so do it straight away. And also leave us a review. Let us know what did you enjoy the most about this interview. We are going to read the top reviews and give you a shout out in the introduction of the next show. Fiona, again, thank you very much. Ladies and
Thank you.
gentlemen, thank you for listening. And remember that together we grow exponentially. Bye for now.